Okay, let's get this over with. I'm from the federal government. I'm here to help. Thank you. I've been doing that line for 20 plus years, and it gets the same response every time. But maybe now more than ever, but we won't go there. A quick thing, Esther would kill me if I didn't recognize the builders in the room first. So will the builders please stand up? And could you guys introduce yourselves so we know who are the builders that are here? What name your company? Oddly enough, okay. Fantastic. So it's great to have the builders here. What I'm going to do in my half hour is hopefully accomplish a few things. In a very simple way, help you understand what zero energy homes are, or zero energy is, and understand the reason why zero not only is the future, zero is in fact the now in home building, and then understand how this movement's working and how people can work with it. So that's what I hope to do. And first, a prologue. You know, I'm a realist, and also I'm an author of a book called Retooling the U.S. Housing Industry. And what I recognized was, whether in my prior position with Energy Star for Homes or my current position leading the Zero Energy Ready Home program, I realized no matter how successful I would be getting builders to construct these great homes, high-performance homes, their business success would be hardly affected if they didn't do other key aspects of creating a great consumer experience. So really what we understand is essentially that you have to build great communities. And there are three different factors I have for what creates great communities. You need to do really great designs, and there are 5 factors that contribute to a really good housing design. And you really need to deliver a high-performance home that creates a completely different living experience for homeowners. There are 5 factors for how you do that. Then you need really good quality construction. There are 3 ways to do that. And lastly, you need to sell homes effectively, and there are 3 strategies for how you sell homes. Now, the reality is, if I get a builder to do zero energy ready home, I'm this very small slice of the pie. It will not fix a builder's business challenges if they're not doing these other things and only do zero. So I want to make sure we all understand where we are. This isn't the total solution, but this is still the future because it's really important. That's what the case I hope to make will be. So what is zero? Let's see if we can make zero really simple and easy to understand. And it begins by understanding first that a code home is a really good home. If you look at the history of the energy code, the National Energy Code, over time on the horizontal axis, and we do something called an energy use index on the vertical axis, and the scale is less important than the trajectory of the curve, you see that there's been almost a 40% increase in the rigor of energy codes just from 2006 to 2012. Even if you buy the worst home allowed by law, you're getting a pretty decent home. That's just the reality. The bigger reality that I want to point out, and this is really important for code officials, is we're in the risk zone. Even if we build a home to code, we have a whole array of different risk factors that have come up and have to be addressed. You can't just keep raising the energy efficient requirements and not address a bunch of risks. And let's go through what those are. The first risk relates to the wetting potential of the construction assemblies. So on the bottom we have a less efficient enclosure with less insulation and less airtightness, and then we have the more efficient enclosure with more insulation and more airtightness above. And we have a warm side, could be in the winter, the inside of the home, the cold side is the outside in the winter, and we have much, much more thermal and airflow through the less efficient enclosure than a high efficient enclosure, which means the inside surface on the outside in the winter is a lot more cold in a high performance enclosure. And that means there's a lot more wetting potential. If any moisture gets in, there's very, very little chance for it to dry in a high efficient enclosure because there's so little thermal energy going through the wall system. Risk number 1. Risk number 2 has to do with comfort. Again, more thermal and airflow through a less efficient than more efficient enclosure, which means we need much smaller comfort systems or heating cooling systems in a more efficient enclosure. And that's significant because if you look at the HVAC airflow requirements in these new high-performance homes, whether code or above code, you have 40 to 50% less airflow in a more efficient enclosure, which means we have a risk. Are we going to get air mixing throughout the house when we're moving so much less air? And I will tell you, as a matter of industry observation and lots of reporting, 70% of heating cooling systems do not meet manufacturer requirements. We do not size duct systems diligently. We do not track and make sure the static pressures and refrigerant charges are all done correctly. The result is that, in fact, with high efficient homes, you have to really be careful that you're getting the mixing. And one area we don't do is we don't spend any time focusing on the grills. There's a whole sizing process for getting grills so they effectively ensure the mixing throughout the room. The other risk factor has to do with the swing season length. It's much longer in a less efficient home than a more efficient home, and so, I mean, it's much more efficient, it's much longer in a more efficient enclosure. And therefore, in climates where you have to manage humidity, you're not getting the accidental dehumidification that's a byproduct of air conditioning, and we run into problems that can come up with humidity control. Finally, there's a third risk that has to do with indoor contaminants, much less airflow in a high efficient enclosure, much more airtight, and therefore much less dilution of any contaminants in the home. So we need a strategy that reduces the contaminants and the indoor air quality risks in new construction. So with that understanding of risk, let me go through the building blocks of zero. So we start with an advanced enclosure because, as I said, even a minimum code home is a pretty darn good enclosure. But what's really insane in my mind is not to build an optimized enclosure, and what I mean by that is an enclosure that meets or exceeds whatever the next code is on the books. So if you're in a 2009 IECC, International Energy Conservation Code location, you know you're only 3 or 4 years away from a 2012 IECC. And to not build to the next code cycle is, in effect, locking in obsolescence for the home buyer. It will be illegal to build that home in 3 or 4 years. Even an Energy Star home built to the minimum requirements of that program will be illegal to build in 3 or 4 years. And so you have the opportunity to give the homeowner, like the 2025 model car today in 2018, or the 2025 model house today in 2018. Any homeowner would take that deal. So you want to go to the optimized enclosure, which is usually a little better insulation, better window, a little better air sealing. The next building block is now we have to worry about all the components inside the home because they represent more than half the energy use in a house. The heating and cooling requirements are so much smaller today that all the stuff inside our homes is what represents more than half the energy use. So you really need to be energy efficient with the appliances, the equipment, the lighting, the fans. Together, that's an energy efficient home. If you get the enclosure right and the components right, you have energy efficient homes. But now we have to manage the risk. So we want complete water protection. Even here in the Arizona market, you get your monsoons in the late summers. You have all sorts of conditions where you have to make sure you're not letting any water in the assembly knowing it cannot dry. The second thing you want to do is you have to have an insured comfort system that knows how to get the air throughout the house, make sure you have mixing, and if you're in humid climates, you want to make sure you have dehumidification during the swing seasons. And the other part is you want comprehensive indoor air quality solutions. Source control, keep the contaminants out in the first place, and keep them from getting in once the home is finished. You want dilution, which is you want to kind of get rid of the contaminants do make their way in the home. You want high capture filtration that actually provides some meaningful filtration of the particles in the airstream. And that's your performance system that manages those 3 risks that we talked about. And finally, these homes are so efficient, you want to make sure that you have no cost penalty or no disruption that you have to incur in the future when you add a solar system by making it solar ready. No cost, low cost details can make your house so ready for solar that you again incur hardly any penalties, cost, or disruption. And of course, if you're putting solar on during construction, you don't need to be solar ready. You're solar equipped from the very beginning. But in either case, you're zero ready. Now, I would, in front of hundreds of people in an audience at building science conferences, ask the audience if I had 3 homes side by side, a code home, an Energy Star home, or a zero energy ready home, and you had to pay $3,000 more for the Energy Star home and $5,500 more for the zero ready home. By the way, the Energy Star home would only cost you about $18, $20 in the mortgage, but save you $30 in the utility bill. The zero ready home would cost you about $35, $40 in the mortgage, and save you about $60 in the utility bill. How many of you would choose the code home and no hands go up? How many of you would choose the Energy Star home? Virtually no hands go up. And how many would choose zero ready and all the hands go up? And when I look at that audience of the most impressive building science experts, architects, builders in the country, and every single one would only choose a home with these 6 building blocks, it tells me what this really is. This is a home an expert would choose for him or herself if they had a choice between those 3 homes. And that's what this represents. If you want the home the expert would choose, this is the 6 building blocks that they think are imperative. So it's a home to the power of 0, and there's a label, Zero Energy Ready Home, that helps ensure you get it every time you want to benefit from that package of improvements. Okay, but what's really exciting is where this goes in the future. Not only are you ready for 0, you're ready for something that's really exciting that's going to happen to housing. If I had to put up a solar system that did all my energy requirements 100% of the time, it'd be, let's say, a system this size. Forget what units are there. But if I go for a system that gives me, let's say, 85% of my needs, it's almost half the size. It's crazy to put in a solar system that's 100%. Each incremental additional size costs so much more because you're getting so much less out of it. And in effect, it looks like this. A 100% system gives you 100% of the hours, and an 85% system only leaves out a few of those hours. So the challenge we have going in the future to go to true 0 is what do we do for the backup during those small number of hours when the solar may not be ready to provide the energy you need? And the answer is, of course, storage. And that little vehicle in the car, in the garage, now has all this additional value. It's a backup system where you can hook up those batteries to your house as well. Now, many zero energy ready homes power both the car and the home. Now you can use it in reverse. And you think of the cost of having a generator or power supply system for disruptions. A gas generator might cost $10,000, $12,000, $15,000, and now you get that value out of just having your car and your batteries able to back you up. And so the way many of us may not have a landline for our phones, I wonder in the future, in many locations, if it makes more sense not to have a landline for our homes. And already you're seeing movement in this direction. Mandalay, who builds in this market, is planning to build 3,000 Arizona homes with solar and batteries. So already you're seeing a crazy move to this kind of performance in this market. In addition, you're seeing a whole business model built around getting batteries to homes when there's a supply need. So you'll never be out of energy. A truck will show up and just drop a new battery in and replace it. So in Germany, where there's lots and lots of homes with solar systems, this is what's happening in that market. So you see the future where things are going. And what's really interesting is some of the new technologies. This is actionability with a multi-function fuel-fired heat pump to get all sorts of benefits wrapped up in one piece of equipment. It's 50% more efficient than normal gas heating because you're getting the waste heat from the engine. It's more efficient gas cooling because it uses the gas right on site to produce cooling very efficiently with the refrigerant cycle. And the waste heat, again, is heating and for both water and space heating. And if there's no power from the grid, this will provide power for the heating, cooling, and for the house. And so more and more we'll see we'll not need a landline for power. And the future kind of looks like this. This is the Tesla total off-grid solar home. You have the solar roof. We can barely, it's integrated completely with the roof. The battery is right over here. The car plugs in. The car is being powered by the roof. The house is being powered by the roof. You have power when there's utility has no power, you still have power. It's an amazing experience for the future. The new cells look like this. This is a solar cell. This is a regular shingle. You can't tell the difference, right? So products that are coming online, and what's the benefit of having solar integrated with the roof? They're huge. One is I don't need a rack. I don't need the roofing. And I don't have to worry about when the roof needs a replacement or solar needs replacement that the maintenance schedules don't line up. I don't have to remove my solar system to do my roof repairs or vice versa. And also we get a better experience in our neighborhoods. This is a typical neighborhood with landlines. Will be the solar neighborhood of the future, no landlines. In every way, this is a better consumer experience. This is power with hardly any risk of ever going down. And the quality of life in these homes is like nothing you've seen. You've never seen comfort unless you've been in a high-performance home. You don't know what it's like when your family can throw away the inhalers for your kids. You don't know what it's like to have quality built in so your house just has so much less maintenance. And to have protection that the largest investment of a lifetime has its future value so locked in because it meets and exceeds the expectations. This is a completely different homeowner experience. And also, it's going to happen right now in a growing number of markets. This is Puerto Rico. This is a satellite shot going after it went dark and still stayed dark for now what we're over a year past the hurricane, right? These normal systems don't work in areas of high risk. Or take Tornado Alley, in Oklahoma, northern Texas, and all the states up that whole central part of the country, where hundreds of tornadoes happen every year. And where the systems go down, it's a very narrow strip that's impacted, but the electric grid goes down, and all the rest of the communities have no power. And so, again, these systems have amazing opportunity to improve life. And same in areas that get flooding. That you can just come back, and even when there's a natural disaster, your home is able to be resilient and still provide the needs you need. And sometimes protect the house by removing moisture and avoiding mold and other issues. So it's amazing what Zero is. It's a completely different consumer experience. So why now? Well, the reason is, I think, your buyers are going to demand it at an increasing level. This is the number of buyers that use websites before buying a home. It's up to about 90+%, frequently or occasionally going to websites. And that's not the key development. What's key is the amount of content that they're getting when they go to websites. Right now, if I graph a line of content over this chart, it's very little. But you notice we're at a tipping point where the amount of content they're going to get is going to go up exponentially. And let's look at the content they get. One of the key drivers for content is this little device. It's called an infrared camera. These puppies used to cost about $30,000 or $40,000 when they first came out. Now a good camera, $400 or $500. There's a $200 camera that's a really good option that goes right onto your smartphone and lets you take pretty good pictures. And why do I care so much about infrared camera? It's emotional. And as realtors, you know people buy an emotion and justify with facts. That's your livelihoods. My house may have some high energy bills or it may be a little uncomfortable, but I don't know why, and I don't care. It's not emotional until I see my house is defective. Even a lay consumer would know in nanoseconds that's a defective house. And the fact that the consumer will know and be informed is huge. Consider the impact. There's a program in UK where they brought in infrared cameras along with home energy assessments, and they had 5 times more consumers after the energy assessment. They called them audits, which is a horrible name. They had 5x more people improve their homes when they had the infrared diagnostic. It's emotional. 70% of the people had assessments improve their homes. So here's the deal. We're going to know a lot more as consumer about insulation defects. We used to get away with these because it wasn't emotional. Now it is. Informed buyers know a lot more about cold floors. On the top picture, that's a slab edge. It's not insulated. I don't know. There are tens of thousands of homes right around us in this market without slab edge insulation. That's what they look like in winter, that top picture. It's a complete thermal bridge between the inside and the outside. That's why floors feel cold. It's very difficult to manage comfort with that defect. Balconies, when they extend from inside to outside, the bottom picture, it's a thermal. Thermal bridging. If the wood framing is exposed, it shows up because it's 400% more heat flow than insulation. And 20 to 25, sometimes 30% of the walls can be wood framing. That's a thermal superhighway of comfort, leaving the building in the winter, coming in heat in the summer. And consumers will know about drafty construction. It shows up like an incredible glaring image when it's taken with a blower door. And we'll know about good and bad windows. Which of those are good windows, which are bad? I haven't given you any training. Can any of you tell me which is a good, which is a bad window? It's not very difficult, is it? And we'll know about moisture risk. It's hard to see this, but this blue surface over here is about 95% of the homes have that experience that are on the ground today. We never used to put in pan flashing at windows and doors, yet 100% of windows leak, and we don't flash them. Now, why did we get away with that? No, well, for one thing, and the second reason is we didn't insulate the walls very well, so the heat from the house would dry that wet area, and we didn't have mold. Now, if you have an energy code that requires more insulation but doesn't have an additional requirement for all the water management details, it's potentially a time bomb. And we do where roofs meet walls, $8 kick-out flashing to stop the water from draining down and getting the wall wet. Now let the sun come out after a rainstorm and you have a driving force pushing that moisture into the assembly. So where's the code requirement that along with the insulation says you have to have the kick-out flashing? We've got to be smart. We can't just do energy. We have to manage risk. We have to do the performance requirements as well. Can we tell which is the good and bad home? You know, once we have infrared images accompanying real estate transactions, your home buyers, again, will know in nanoseconds am I buying a good or bad home. Okay, this is a real liability that people are inheriting. I shot with my daughter who moved to Denver to buy homes with a realtor, and I got nicknamed a realtor's worst nightmare. That's my new title. Okay? I'm showing my daughter all the defects right next to the realtor, and she's going nuts. So this is what will we take on will we have the willingness to inherit this much liability as we buy homes? And we'll know about true comfort. Dashboards that tell how our heating and cooling systems work are right around the corner, and within 3 to 5 years, all heating and cooling equipment will come with fault detection and diagnostics. If they're not sized right, if they're not made sure to have adequate airflow and have adequate refrigerant charge as specified, you'll know right away. And we are not doing that today, and this is going to happen overnight. And we'll know about the health risks in our home as consumers. There'll be all sorts of health monitors, health dashboards. Will we buy a home if we know as a consumer that home is unhealthy to live in? How much willingness will we have to do that? And we'll know about the true cost when we buy homes. Yes, we do add a little bit to the mortgage to buy a zero energy ready home. Maybe it adds $30 or $40 to the mortgage, but it'll save $60 or $70 a month. And then we have lower true cost. Now, is there anyone in the room that thinks energy costs are going to go down in the future? Well, then the true cost gets even lower as time goes on. And then we know about trust. How many people think the homeowner trusts the builder when they buy a home? Is the builder a bad person? No. We don't buy homes but once or twice or 3 times in a lifetime. We do not know what we're buying. We are overwhelmed when we buy the biggest purchase of a lifetime and take on a 30-year mortgage commitment to pay for that home. We don't trust because we don't know. Anytime we're in a situation we don't know, we don't trust. And look at all the trust that we can add with all these certifications about these are quality homes that can be attached to these homes. People know about trust. And this is the most significant one. If you take nothing else today from what I'm telling you, you better get this one. Peer reviews have come to housing. I won't go to a city with my wife and go out to look for a restaurant without going to Yelp or TripAdvisor and look for the ratings of the restaurants. We won't spend $60 on a meal if it's a 3-2-star restaurant. Same with hotels. We won't stay at a hotel for a couple $100 a night if it's a 3 or 2-star hotel. what's the chance when we go to spend $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 on a house, we will buy a 3 or 2-star home? If you're not managing your business in this industry so your peer reviews are always 4 and 5 stars, I don't know how you survive. Here's a builder with 1 star. How can that builder ever expect any buyers getting the peer review feedback to make that builder a choice that they will go visit? There's only one way that builder can do it. What is it? What? Lowering his or her price. You're going to have to really, really concede the price because you cannot sell a 1-star home. And this is how it's been going on for a long time in Europe and the UK. You know that the star rankings are going to be pervasive within a short amount of time. You have to create a better consumer experience. What's really crazy, if you journey map the home buyer experience in real estate, its highest, you all know, as realtors, right? When you're buying the home, you're about to fulfill your dreams, you're exhilarated. Then you go through the process and the transaction, your emotions get lower and lower, and then you move in, and the move-in day is often disappointment day when you're buying a new home and it looks nothing like the model, right? And then that's when they come with the peer review survey to ask what you think about that home. Right when the emotions are at the absolute lowest. We have got to refigure our business model so that the emotion's the highest once they're in. This is a whole new change that has to happen. So my message here is consumers will know the value of a better experience that they have to have once they try it. You all know the Apple business model is we build products that once people try, they have to have them. These homes are an experience you have to have once you try them. And will people pay for this? You know, our big challenge in the real estate transaction is getting appraisers to assign value to these kinds of incredibly lower cost of ownership homes that are healthier, more comfortable, more durable, more safe. And how do we get any value attached to it? Well, look what people pay. Right now we pay less than 1x for personal transportation with Uber or Lyft, but already I'm seeing the prices almost getting up to 1x, and soon it'll be 1 or 1.5x, because I like knowing where my ride's coming, that the driver has a good record, what it's going to cost me, when I'm going to get there. You know, the taxi service, there are 230,000 taxi companies that didn't think about providing a better consumer experience, and this comes along and disrupts. And then you have the daily break at Starbucks, 2 to 3x versus going to Dunkin' Donuts. But we love the ambiance. We'll pay for a better experience. Or organic food. It's 2 to 3x more expensive. It's the fastest growing segment of the food industry. We spend $40 billion a year for organic food because it's a better experience. We feel better eating that food. And we spend 10x for technology. When the iPhone came out, version 1, it was $500, $600 compared to a $50 cell phone. You integrate technology with design, and that's like a sweet spot that is huge with willingness to pay. And then for water, $20 billion a year we spend for a product that we can get for free. That's infinity X willingness to pay. It's free, but we'll pay for it. So how do we communicate this value? It's a big challenge. We go from a 2009 code to a Energy Star, which is still pegged to 2009 if it's version 3. Zero Readies, all that, plus indoor air quality, and some innovations from the Building America program and this Passive House. I don't know. I can't imagine talking to a consumer and trying to get that across, right? It's pretty complicated. That's a big challenge. So what I'm going to do is, I know time's getting short, I'm going to show you in 1 minute what we say about the Zero Energy Ready home to help communicate its value. A superior home experience is as easy as looking for a certified Zero Energy Ready home. Tens of thousands of savings on utility bills over a 30-year mortgage. Many, if not most, are getting over $100,000 of lower energy bills for a home that costs such a small amount less than that more. Full thermal protection from the hottest and coldest weather. Total comfort at a whole new level with advanced heating and cooling. Healthy living with contaminants kept out of the air you breathe every day. Peace of mind from moisture problems with comprehensive water protection. Certified performance with a home independently tested and inspected to the most rigorous guidelines by the federal government. And by the way, in certified performance, think about the difference buying a used car or a certified used car. It's about a 40% premium just because it's certified. Oh, it's certified pre-owned, I should say. Words make a difference, don't they? Enhance future value with construction that meets and exceeds forthcoming codes. Visit the Zero Energy Ready Home website for more information how you can get a better home experience. So basically our message is, I'm not going to try to explain all these very technical details. I simply want you to know, as a consumer, if you want a better experience, here's how you get it. How am I doing time? 2 minutes? Okay, I'll figure a way to get this done. Also, look at how we try to make the benefits a lot more obvious. These look like an innocuous set of comparison bars between green, Zero Ready, blue, Energy Star, and gray is an existing home. The reason we chose those 3 comparison points was very few builders go from code to Zero Ready. You're going to go more likely from Energy Star to Zero Ready. So that's the difference we have to explain. And 85% of home transactions are existing homes. So let's explain the difference with the predominant choice for new homes. And the way it plays out is this. You take any one of these attributes, health, comfort, technology, efficiency, quality, and durability. Take any one of those, it plays the same. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'm very sorry to hear that you have to struggle every day with your kids' asthma, inhalers, and all that goes along with it. What's important for you to know is every one of our homes has 100% of the recommendations that should be in every new house by the leading authority in health in our nation, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. In contrast, you get half those recommendations in an Energy Star home and hardly any in an existing home. And more, it's certified that it has all these improvements with the EPA Indoor Air Plus label. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, knowing that every day your children have so much difficulty managing their breathing, how much of the recommended innovations for quality breathing do you want to give up that the experts say should be in every new home? Half or almost all. And it's a very, very different argument. I don't know how to sell my home is more healthy. What I can sell is, how much do you want to give up? Do you want to give up half of what should be in every new home, or almost all of it? When you look at how difficult every day it is for your kids to breathe. And how many families have I sold homes to where they've thrown away inhalers and get back to me about how much better they live every day in our homes? It's such a more compelling story to tell when you have these comparison bars, because you're forcing them to deal with what they're giving up. And people, if you read all the behavioral economic theories, people do not want to give up. And look how simple it is to tell the difference. Dollars to Donuts, you see 1,000 billboards from builders. It looks something like this: our name, our price, and our location. A Zero Energy billboard looks a little different. My power bill is $5. What's yours? Heather Robbins, Garbett homeowner, actual billboard message from a builder in Utah. But does that get my attention, or does this get my attention? Who's telling me the message in this billboard? The builder's saying, trust me, I build homes. This builder is saying, listen to my home buyer's experience. Is this the experience that you want to have? Don't trust me, listen to my home buyers. We threw away the inhaler, that was priceless. The same kind of story over and over again. And look what happens to the builders that do these kinds of things. This is the leading Zero Energy Ready builder in Colorado. This is Thrive Home Builders. Because of him, a whole wave of Zero Energy builders are coming on, and it's not surprising that he's the Builder of the Year. He gets all this extra recognition. So I'm going to wrap up in 1 minute. This is the number of Zero Energy units that have been constructed 2015, 16, 17, and inventory has been done, and that's 100% growth in just over 2 years. Further, if you look at the builders that are planning to do Zero Ready, it's gone from 21 to 44% by 2019. Again, over 100% growth. This is coming. So join the movement, go to our website, lots of great resources. And if you're a builder or a verifier, sign up as a partner. And a final word, this piece of land sat for tens and tens of thousands of years looking something like this without hardly any changes. And in a blip of time, it became this. And what it is that what we do in the business of putting buildings on land is transformative, and we can make a difference by the choices we make. I love this line from the Subaru commercial. Who we are is what we leave behind. And I can almost promise you, you'll be so much happier leaving zero behind. Thank you very much.